In the lower right-hand corner, from Team Razor Edge, in the blue, Protoss player Zest.
And spawning in the top left-hand side, it is our red Terran player, currently teamless, but still not to be trifled with. It is none other than BYUN.
Yeah, I realized that I was so excited talking about the format of the tournament that I forgot to introduce our wonderful players here.
Oh no, it
They'll
happens.
forgive me, I think.
Happens to the best of us. And I like Bibbs has got a shout out here. If we ever need any additional replays, we can cast some HIV stuff for some bronze hero things.
Yeah, I think there's stuff to learn at every level of play, but I really do enjoy watching players like Zest, players like BYUN. What a wonderful matchup. I've been really kind of getting into TVP, and I just kind of like to watch the different kinds of strategies that you and different kind of builds that you see here. Actually, Zest going for a gate nexus, kind of a slightly greedier build before you put that core down. Let's see kind of what happens with that.
Yeah, so typically what we see is the Protoss player go up to 20 workers, then they drop that nexus, then the core, that gas, and then a pylon on the low ground. It's it can even be like one probe that's dropping all of these structures at once. And actually, it looks like the pylon is going to be a little bit of a proxy pylon, and I think that's kind of neat. I like this. If of course, there's no Reaper in this game, but if a Reaper had come over here, it would like see. Oh, what's going on here? And actually, perhaps that's why Zest did drop the pylon proxied. I think he is going to end up dropping something. The probe is hanging out, and it looks like it is going to be a Stargate. So, keep your eye open for some oracles, something like that popping out pretty quick here.
Yeah, so BYUN has opted not to build a Reaper, and I think that's if he's running around with a Marine looking for kind of proxies. But unfortunately, he's just not going to get that information in Zest space. He's not going to get a pylon count, right?
Yeah.
He would have seen an expansion, and really he should be looking for something. And I don't think he's going to get it. He's actually probably just going to be surprised by it's probably an oracle. I guess we'll find out in about 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, he's kind of postured himself relatively defensively. He's actually reactoring some Marines out. He's got some defensive mines. For not scouting this whatsoever, this is a pretty good build for what we see going on from our Protoss player.
Yeah, I just checked BYUN's vision. He didn't even SCV scout at the beginning. So, I mean, he sent this Marine around to check the third base location, I guess either of the third base locations for proxy gateway, or maybe even a proxy robo. But he technically didn't even know that his opponent had made a nexus. This oracle is going to get in, and like you said, these Marines are actually going to be able to do a whole lot. And oh my gosh, Zest almost loses the oracle. Oracle currently down to 10 HP. It's going to kill one SCV and then have to run away.
Cheeky guy gets this one worker kill damage down, and I don't think he can really go back in for much more.
Well,
maybe he will.
Okay, all the Marines have picked up and gone out except for the two that just popped out of the racks. This mule got called down at the wrong time here. Looks like a couple of workers are going to fall here. This oracle does have to be careful. There's a mine sitting out kind of at the top of the ramp here. So going to have to be wary of that. But I think the important thing to focus on right now is this medevac. It's about to drop all the Marines in here. Now, stalkers do show up.
Blink not done, but I mean, unfortunately for BYUN, Zest has that defensive posturing. He kind of knows he saw a medevac leave. Count 1001, 1002, 3 Mississippi. He knows that, Zest, BYUN's going to be on the other side of the map in, 25 seconds. So very nice defense. And it looks like Zest he's feeling so good right now. He's actually taking a very aggressive third, just kind of keeping the economic pressure on. Hasn't really dropped down tech or production structures. He's actually feeling very good where he's at right now, looking at the low tech, Marine count he saw earlier. Stim's actually, in fact, only just started. I don't know if Zest knows that, but he's making all of the right decisions for what his opponent is doing.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like BYUN's going to try to go for a little two-pronged, I don't want to say aggression, but drop a medevac in the main base while throwing down a bunch of auto turrets in the natural, just harassing, some two-pronged harassment. That's what I was looking for. But there's a lot of stalkers here, and with this Oracle, they're going to be able to blink into the high ground. There is a mine here. The Oracle has to be very careful.
Oh no!
Okay.
Well, the blink got in, and actually the damage is done, if you will. Workers being pulled off the line, but unfortunately being blocked by their, by the bio in front. And at any point in time, Zest can just kind of leave. He's actually not. This is not a humongous investment for Zest. In fact, if BYUN is not able to clear the high ground, these stalkers can in fact blink right back up onto the high ground, continue this attack.
Now, one thing to notice behind all this, the medevac did drop in, and so 14 probes have gone down, at the same time that the 13 SCVs fell. This is actually looking really scary on both fronts here. I think that Zest is going to be able to clean these up with these blink stalkers. And if they blink forward, they should be able to pick off that medevac. Ooh, not quite getting that. Is going to kill most of those Marines, though. Raven's still alive.
Denying level 1 upgrades. In fact, I think that there are no current forges. So, if at best, Zest was actually going to be a little bit behind on the upgrades, whereas, BYUN has his upgrades, his level 1 weapons are in fact finishing right now. Level 1 doesn't do a whole lot, but I mean, it's all about that momentum. The sooner you can get to 3-3 before your opponent, those bio units they take a large upgrade. It's more than 10% each upgrade. It's actually ferocious amounts of damage you can get done, and you're gonna want to have that timing upgrade advantage over your opponent if possible.
Yeah. If we take a look at the income plot, it looked like Zest was a little bit ahead. Then he got into the main, killed a bunch of workers, and then we see the immediate drop to the other side as the medevac drop hit his main. But we do have a fight here. Stalker's going to pick off a few Marines before blinking away, keeping most of those Stalkers alive. One will fall. These units are going to continue to run. Stim comes down again, and these Marines are starting to get pretty orange here. Medevacs will finally catch up.
I want to mention during all this, BYUN hasn't put a third CC down. I think that he's at the point where he has to commit to this kind of, and unfortunately not able to cancel those stalkers. This is all he has. I mean, he's basically as pot committed. Oh, it looks like that third CC, in fact, going just now at 8 minutes. That's so late. If you look at these mineral patches at the third for Zest, I mean, some of these are almost half empty. That's such a, to have decided to expand at this point in time in the game, you're at such a disadvantage. You're gonna have to definitely have an uphill here. And actually catching some medevacs, just skirting the edges, getting a little bit of that tech damage done. If you can get those medevacs, when the bio army kind of shows up at your front line, they just don't have anything that can actually hurt you.
Yeah, and we should point out charge is done at this point. That +1 attack is coming down for Zest. The Stalkers have been pulled back home via recall. And I think he can actually flank this with all these charge lots and the Stalkers. I don't know if this is the fight that BYUN is really looking for here. So many charge lots getting on top of all these units, and now the blink comes forward from those Stalkers, and oh gosh.
It's just a giant army with all of the right upgrades. Twilight Tech is very potent. It's got a wonderful timing in kind of this mid game. These are probably some of the best units you could be fielding, and it looks like BYUN is not. He's not making liberators. He's not making tanks. He's actually kind of just only doing mine bio. These are actually the units you want. Sometimes there's a time to kind of upgrade in a game, get those Colossus or those Disruptors out, or maybe even going, Sky Toss. But I think that Zest has the tools he needs, and all he has to do is just keep expanding and keep making more stuff max out, and just make sure you're denying your opponent's bases.
Yeah, and I mean, the Templar Archives is just about done here. There's no Ghost Academy on the way, so I mean, if the storms start showing up, this could be really bad for BYUN. But even before that, we do have to look at the attack that is happening here. All of the mines have fired, and the bio has found a nice little corner here, so the Zealots aren't going to be able to help too much. Stalkers are going to get kind of pulled to shreds here, but meanwhile, these medevacs that are flying across the map are getting attacked by some of those units that were in Zest space. However, with some stimming forward, BYUN is able to kind of hold strong here. He did lose 10 workers, and there's a bunch more units getting warped in on BYUN's side of the map.
That was a pretty cost-efficient 30 seconds for BYUN.
Yeah.
But I'm worried that this army coming across the map is going to meet. If you look at the production structure that Zest is capable of, he's trying to get his storm out, but he can hold on. I think, as you were mentioning earlier, the tech that's going to basically beat this bio army is almost mature. It's basically, Zest just has to kind of hold on for just a little bit more time. Some of these force fields are just exactly what he's looking for. Just stall, and just keep your opponent off your bases, keep making that money, and just keep making the units. The charge lots that kind of get right in there and drag some of those mines alongside. Right into the bio, right where you want them.
Yeah, it looks like Zest is also cutting off some of the reinforcements here. The units are going down. Now, we did have shield battery overcharge going down earlier, so we're not going to see that again, but I think Zest just has enough here with these stalkers and more warpins on zealots. The stalkers that are picking off the bio slowly getting cleaned up, but Zest feels comfortable enough that he's actually going to go ahead and drop his 4th base while pushing this bio army back, and I think that he's totally justified in doing so.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, again, you just keep ferociously and actually kind of trying to grab a couple more units as they're retreating. Keep the macro train rolling. More bases, more gateways. I don't think he needs anything else. BYUN is actually unfortunately still stuck on this 3rd base, and he's only really been mining for a couple minutes now. He just doesn't have. He has a slight upgrade advantage, but I mean that kind of disappears as Chrono Boost kind of comes into play. It looks like 2-2 is actually finishing for Zest right now, so it looks like he's kind of completely caught up.
Yeah, or at least 2-1 is. And one thing to note is that BYUN, during all of that, BYUN did get his Ghost Academy up, and we do see that enhanced shockwaves coming down. But it's not going to be here in time. I mean, we already have 4 High Templar loaded into this Prism, and I believe they have enough energy to storm if needed. So this CC is certainly going to get sniped off here. Nice storm here. Another beautiful storm coming down. 3rd and 4th could pop out as well. And so many workers are going down for BYUN. And the fight is still going in favor. Another great storm on top of most of this bio. And I think this game is going to end quite shortly here. Yeah, another warping coming in from that Prism.
I like how Zest used the storm. Sometimes in a matchup you need positioning. In TVT it's very important. Looks like it's a good game. BYUN just kind of throwing in the towel. Zest gets in there. He's already got the position he's looking for. He's on the CC. He's doing damage to the SCVs. He just doesn't want BYUN's army to show up. And he's able to kind of create a rainbow of storms to kind of continue to do the damage in the back end. And then, when the storms run out, your army is already bigger, and you've already killed that. You're killing that 3rd CC. But that's a really good usage of that tech, right?
Yeah, for sure. Just like you said, just zoning them out, getting the damage done that you need to do. I think that was beautifully done. I mean, Protoss has a lot of units that do that, right? Storm is kind of obviously, if you can kill a bunch of units with it, you want to. But Disruptor's the same way, right? Disruptors, it's like, okay, I'm going to run away from you. If I need to retreat, I'm going to retreat and just shoot a couple Disruptor shops behind me. And it's not that I'm necessarily trying to kill you. It's that I'm trying to keep you from advancing, right? It's all about that positioning.
That's right. And, Colossus have a similar tech, interaction. They've got such long range. You're just kind of trying to posture. Again, location.
I just noticed, I want to show the cheeky, BYUN's got a diamond border on. I didn't quite get the scene transfer in time. My apologies, friends. We'll show it on the next game. But I just thought that was a little funny. Looks like they might be playing somewhere else.
And spawning in the upper right-hand corner, wearing blue on Team Razor Edge, Zest.
And his opponent in the bottom left-hand side, representing no team. It is your red Terran player. It is none other than BYUN.
So what does BYUN want to do different here, right? Does he actually get a scout in there? Does he look for those pylons? What's the information that he's going to want that's going to make the difference?
So the thing that's interesting is, he didn't scout last game at all. He just kind of went blind. but that didn't actually really hurt him, right? He was able to almost kill that Oracle. So I don't think the early game has too many tweaks. I think it's really just making sure that he can kind of punish Zest. You know, maybe BYUN needs to get his own third base up a little bit more and do some more early game harass. You know, maybe at that 4-minute mark, do a mine drop or a Hellion drop, something. We saw him get quite a bit of damage done with the, oh, okay, this will also do. We saw him get quite a bit of damage done with that one medevac full of Marines. But this is going to be really annoying for Zest to deal with as well. We do have an engineering bay coming out to block. And it looks like Zest sees this, goes ahead and decides, all right, fine, I'll go for my cybernetics core first instead of getting my Nexus. We even see Zest responding by making a Zealot to help kind of start whittling away at this NG bay.
Yeah, that engineering bay is about as full as you can get without, completing it. We kind of saw this recently. There's a game with Maru, and one of the games that Maru wasn't proxy barracksing. He puts this engineering bay down, so it's for no other reason just to make sure that he's expanding at approximately the right time. Protoss are able to kind of get their Nexus down just a little bit faster, all things being equal. And what this does is this allows BYUN to get his base down in a comfortable position, or Zest has to take a base that he's just not comfortable taking on this map at this time.
Yeah, and that would be like if you have to take a base all the way over here, take your quote third base location, it would be really frustrating because like that mine drop can hit various places and it's hard to have units in all of the spots to protect you. Now we do see Zest going for another proxy Stargate. Now this is going to be a lot faster because he wasn't able to drop that Nexus. The Stargate came down as soon as that core finished. BYUN's going to hop in here, is going to see the Nexus, but the question is, will he make it all the way inside with this Reaper and see that there's no tech? Stalker here is going to shoot away. BYUN is like, all right, wait, hold on. I don't see your Twilight Council. I don't see a Stargate in your base. And I think some alarm bells must be going off inside of BYUN's head right now.
Yeah, and BYUN kind of took the tour. He looked at probably all of the realistic best locations that you might have put a second pile on. I think that, like you said, alarm bells should certainly be ringing right now. And that Adept just slivers of health left, able to kind of cancel that bunker for a fraction of a second.
Yeah, that actually
was going down. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, I was just about to say that actually, like 4 workers fell down trying to get that bunker up, and he almost lost a 5th one there. If that Zealot had slapped that worker one more time, this bunker wouldn't have gone up, which means that that Red Marine probably would have immediately died to the Zealot as well. I think Zest is probably okay with this damage.
Well, he's in a different position. BYUN is in a different position for this exact same Oracle that we saw last game. He's got, he has workers hiding in bunkers. He's got Marines hiding in bunkers. He just doesn't have the posturing that he really had. Another 3 workers going down, and if they're going to try and defend this bunker, I mean, they're also vulnerable for more damage. And all this Oracle really has to do is just kind of script the map, script the edges, probably pick off this worker that's making the CC, or at least knows that it exists anyway. Unfortunately, 0 energy left.
Oh no!
That's super unfortunate for having all that information. Maybe he can kind of scoot a stalker over there. It just looks a little bit too far. Unfortunately, that third CC actually going to finish. Already making me feel a little bit better on how BYUN's doing. That was one of the things that he kind of waited on last game. He just didn't have a large number of economic options, and he had to kind of do this harass. But now, BYUN has decided that he wants to play that macro game. And it's now Zest on the back foot. Does Zest do a tech push or a timing push, or does he just pop down his third a little bit delayed, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say that Zest is necessarily on the back foot. I mean, definitely this third CC being done and Zest not even having started his does mean that BYUN is in a strong economic position. But I mean, if we look at the resources lost, I mean, 10 workers have fallen for BYUN, as well as 1 Reaper and 1 Marine. And here comes the big push here. It looks like the Mass Repair is going to keep that bunker alive. These Stalkers are going to get forced away. Cancel on that pylon. An Adept is going to fall, as well as another Stalker here. And
that was very so when you stim, you really need to be careful. You don't want to overstim, And I think that it was funny. BYUN got exactly out of that stim what he could. Just as stim kind of ends, he retreats, he gets back to the high ground. He's able to kind of play a little bit more defensively here. Again, Mass Repair going to try and keep his bunker alive. And you're right. It seems like BYUN just doesn't have some of the higher tech that he needs. There's no tanks. There's no liberators. There's really nothing to kind of keep Zest from just kind of poking up on the high ground, doing a bunch of damage. There's no longer range options here, and it looks like BYUN, unfortunately, not able to repair that bunker, and it's really just a matter of time before Zest is able to kind of crack this egg.
Okay. So this is what I'm wondering. Why hasn't Zest just gone over and tried to blink into the main, right? There's no bunkers on that high ground. He instead keeps on insisting on trying to focus fire down these bunkers, and I guess he thinks.
Really I really like the shield batteries here.
Yeah.
The blink micro being able to retreat, but then they're also back to full health, and so you almost, as long as the shield batteries have energy, you're always kind of able to cycle through these. Now this also kind of strongly indicates that this is really, as you noted earlier, Zest is not interested in expanding.
Oh no, this is
This is it. This is either going to win or this is going to lose, one way or another. I think that BYUN can see this. So again, BYUN knows what's going on. Zest knows what's going on. This is really just going to be about the micro. 13 workers going down, trying to defend. Yeah, and there's your first tank popping out.
Yeah,
this is going to help a little bit, and I just don't know. I don't know if these stalkers have what it takes to kind of get up on the high ground.
Yeah, I think there might have been an opportunity earlier, but I think you could be right at this point. Looks like Zest finally thinking, okay, I'm not going to be able to break this. You have a tank. I want to keep you contained. You're not going to be able to break out, and I'm just going to take my third. And I think that's a wise decision, right? Play it slow, kind of do this thing. We look at the income. I mean, it's been kind of back and forth. I would say more in favor of Zest, simply because, he hasn't had to pull a bunch of workers to repair anything this whole time, but with the second tank here,
the worker counts are pretty equal, and it's really just, once BYUN is able to liberate his downstairs. I mean, he just spoke to DC and he's already there. He's already back. I think he has the option and the availability to be mining before Zest. And it looks like Zest has decided to kind of he's lost kind of this forward position, losing all of those minerals and that investment in, there's a gateway here and there was a couple shield batteries. So I think that BYUN's feeling pretty good right here. Again, he has to kind of get all the way up and get that CC down, but I think he's got the right tools. You just have to be really careful.
Yeah, and Zest, getting some revelations off here, is aware of where all of these tanks are, sees them unsieging, and actually as they start to move forward, I think Zest might have an opportunity. No, he's going to have to run away as Stim comes down on these bio units. CC's going to float out, and these structures from Zest are not going to block it whatsoever.
Good recovery from BYUN. Really smart thinking, being able to, be patient, be calm. You're getting all in, don't worry, just get your tanks out. You have to micro, you got to make sure your bunker's still alive. Perfect decision making that allows him. Looks like Zest is gonna snipe that tank, and that's gonna basically remove the zoning mechanism that BYUN has in this region. He's gonna have to make that tank again. He's gonna have to get it all the way back out here.
Now, at the same time, we do have a bio drop in the main. Couple DTs were warped in, and they're able to pick off about half of the Marines before the scan comes out. 10 workers have already fallen to these stimmed Marines. This one medevac being quite painful here for Zest.
And has BYUN scouted has BYUN scouted the third from Zest, or is it?
Yes, BYUN scanned it as it was in production, so he knew partway through that fight that it wasn't going to end up. Basically he scouted it and saw, all right, I don't need to be super worried. I know that you're not mining off of a third base, and I think that's probably why. I imagine if BYUN had scanned and seen a fully mining third base, he might have been a little bit more worried. Yeah, but as it was, just knowing that he could take that third base and then go send one medevac worth of units over to drop, definitely worked in BYUN's favor.
Yeah, very well played. Again, very good decision making. Being able to basically hold the all in. And again, a lot of it is all of the minerals that really kind of went into those forward shield batteries that just kind of got tossed in the garbage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yes and no, because I almost feel like those shield batteries did pay for themselves in terms of the number of units that they were able to kill. But the problem was that Zest wasn't building up his own economy behind it, right? The players were even in terms of bases that whole time. Zest wasn't leveraging an advantage.
That's right. All right, and spawning in the upper right-hand corner of Jagannatha, having just lost the tie game, we have our blue Zerg from Razor Edge Gaming, Zest.
And his opponent spawning in the bottom left-hand side. It is the red Terran player picking up game number 2, tying up the series. You know him, you love him. It is BYUN.
So on a map like Jagannatha, notice I think in both previous games, Zest he did the building wall. Like he basically blocked the Reapers out of his base to deny scouting information. This game, he just doesn't seem to be interested in that. He's got this gateway that's kind of tucked right up close to the Nexus, with absolutely no interest in denying that scouting information. Is that an artifact of the map, or because this map looks just about as easy to probably deny scouting information, but maybe it's just a matter of this is either a build decision or this is just something he just doesn't care that BYUN sees what he's making, right?
Yeah, I think perhaps this map is, I think, a little bit longer. So just the time that the Reaper shows up, the Stalker is going to be out and be able to kind of shoo it away, right? I mean, last game, the Reaper got in and got a full scout anyway. So having that wall doesn't seem to be preventing anything. And dropping the gateway closer to your Nexus, it's just a little bit safer in terms of... there's no weird things getting hit from the low ground. You don't have to worry about your core being exposed, anything like that. If you drop a tank or something down here, there's some area behind this mineral patch that can be kind of abused to shell down the gateway and the core up on that high ground. So perhaps Zest choosing to not put himself in a position where he has to deal with that.
Looks like Zest has decided that he's not interested in proxy stargates, but he still wants that unit set. In fact, last game he was very annoying with those revelations. Always keeping constant information of what his opponent was doing. But, he's fighting uphill, so he needs to get as much of that as possible. But he's just, not necessarily going to put this out on the map.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting decision. So now BYUN's looking for, where's the Stargate? It's got to be somewhere. But in fact, it's not. It's not nowhere. It's just, it's in Zest space instead.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Looks like this Reaper is going to try to jump to the high ground, but there's another Stalker up here to meet it. And yeah, actually, that's something interesting to note. Zest decided to just forego the early Adept and just went for 2 Stalkers straight out the gate. I think that's fine. Those Stalkers are going to be more useful than the Adept will later on. And he's perhaps knowing that he's going to make this super fast Oracle, chrono it out, isn't going to need that really early kind of scouting information. He's going to get some scouting information with this Oracle. Ooh, Reaper is going to see...
looks like BYUN's going to want to go for a mind drop, and then in fact that Oracle actually denying that Reaper being able to jump up. But this is going to be unfortunately scouted out by this Oracle. He's going to kind of pop in for some kills, but he's also going to notice that there's all of the right buildings and timings for this mind drop, and I'm unfortunately I just don't know. Oh, actually watching it pick up as he flies by, that's going to really mute the effectivity of this mind drop. If you know it's coming, if you literally know it's coming, not like maybe it's going to be here at exactly 5 minutes, that's going to be really devastating in order to get any actual damage done.
Yeah, and actually I think as a result of that, BYUN decides, you know what, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to send my medevac over. I'm instead going to spread my mines out here. I'm probably not going to get damage done with the drop anyway, so I might as well leave these units floating around, and if you try to come in with your Oracle and be cheeky, maybe I'll get lucky and be able to pop it.
Right. Kind of a funny little stare down we have here. Zest is kind of setting up a proxy gateway, and it looks like that mine is. I think that mine can see it. Kind of an interesting place to be.
Yeah. So
not doing anything about it.
Yeah, I just checked the vision of BYUN. He does see this pylon, and so I've seen this a couple times, and I don't particularly like it. Players put the buildings on both sides of this, and like, I guess that gives Zest vision of both sides, but if he just put everything on the backside, then like none of these structures would have been scouted, right? So a little bit of an interesting choice. This mine, this is interesting. Kind of just walking the mine all the way over and putting it at the bottom of the ramp here for BYUN. And, ooh, okay, mine is going to be able to kill one stalker. Another mine is going to go shooting at these stalkers here, and now all those mines are dead. But there is still a siege tank here that's going to definitely deal with this. Zest doing a very good job of pulling all of his workers back when the mine wandered into his mineral line, only losing that absolute necessary one.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. You know, there was both players were keeping their eyes on both the 12 o'clock position as well as the 6 o'clock position. They both were making like decisions. Am I attacking? Am I not attacking? And they're also, you know, playing this mind game with the mines and the probes. Incredible amount of multitasking that's going on here. It looks kind of it looks a lot smoother and slower from high up, but I mean both these players are really going at it, and they're both making sure that all of their units and assets are safe and doing the damage they can do. It's actually really quite cool.
All right,
marine drop coming into the natural into the main base of Zest. They have stim, and they're really just kind of looking around to kind of pick off what they can. Although unfortunately, this is a pretty good defense here. Kind of getting a couple worker kills, 8, and also pushing back this army kind of into the midfield.
Yeah,
really good multi-prong attack here.
Yeah, BYUN still just barely now getting cleaned up in the main. 17 workers fell in total here. Zest's army is going to be able to hold the stuff at the front back, blinking forward even to pick off some of these lone marauders. The students are going to stim and try to run away. This one marine.
I really like that decision making. BYUN picking up the tanks and boosting away, basically sacrificing the marauders for the sake of the more expensive, longer build time tanks.
Yeah,
that was actually kind of fun to see. BYUN knowing what are the important units.
Now, we have one High Templar that's been warped in here, but Storm is not done. It's not actually even in production right now. I imagine we'll see a few more High Templars warped in. Okay, yeah, there we go. So one more getting warped in. They should make an Archon here in a second once they start hugging. There it is. Oracle's going to come to the back here. Probably going to try to pull some of the bio back to the backside. Oh, really Stasis cheeky. Word. Yeah, not quite going to go out. Oh, beautiful blink forward. Going to pick up all 3 of these tanks. The bio's going to get trapped by some force fields, and now these marauders are forced to fight against some charge lots and Archon. Oracle is going to do a whole bunch of damage here as well, and now this is looking amazing for Zest. He's going to be able to kill this third base, or at least force the cancel. There, we see it. And Zest still has a very large army here right outside of BYUN's base.
Yeah, that's a bad feel. I think we watched a game the other day where a mostly done base getting canceled it's worse than death. You've put that money into that basket a minute ago, and now you've got to cancel it and you got to build it all over again. Even all things being equal, that really hurts to see.
Yeah, and I mean, meanwhile on the other side of the map, Zest has an entirely, I guess it's not quite fully saturated, but a base that's got quite a few workers already at it, just mining away. Oracle's going to get a nice.
It's a pretty ferocious number of charge lots. I mean, that's you kind of poke out, you kind of seeing like what's going on. That's not what you want to see, right on the outside of your natural base. And BYUN doesn't really have the unit set that he really needs to fight those zealots. I mean, you're really looking for mines. Tanks don't really kind of do it versus zealots. In fact, zealots love if you were making tanks. More splash damage on the bio.
And the tanks can't shoot the charge lots, and the charge lots are on top of them.
That's right. BYUN's gonna have to take a very judicious fight, again, based on the fact that he just doesn't have at the moment the composition he's really looking for. I think he's starting to kind of fill back out with liberators, and those do a good job. But I mean, those just do a good job versus all ground units, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm surprised we haven't seen like one liberator just try to float around the edge of the map and do a little bit of harass damage while BYUN is trying to take this base. We've seen him do some of this, multi-pronged harass. We saw in, I think it was game 1, the medevac hit at the same time as the Raven, things like that. Nice revelation from Zest is going to show where most of these medevacs, as well as a lot of the bio, is, where it's kind of moving around to. But all said and done, the game is starting to calm down.
BYUN's terrified. I mean, he's really only, he understands at an intimate level, what Protoss is capable of. And again, he knows that he's got a very big game ahead of him. He's going to definitely have to be very cautious. One wrong move, and look at all those charge lots and storm. I mean, his whole army is basically paper. And if you're in the wrong Tempest, I mean, it's gonna evaporate. So he's got to basically make sure he's taking the fight that he needs to take. But again, the clock is ticking. I think Zest, all he has to do is just keep taking bases and keep teching up. Storm's already done. I mean, I wonder if there's going to be a transition into real tech, or if it's going to be kind of like game 1, where he just kind of continues to make a larger and larger number of gateway units and kind of smother his opponent.
Yeah, I mean, we have 10 gateways here. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of storms with huge amounts of energy. Some big feedbacks going down onto these medevacs. If we take a look, we do have 4 ghosts out here with plenty of energy, and they do have that enhanced shockwave, so nice EMPs here.
For those Templar, actually.
Yeah, that was actually really big here for BYUN. Definitely still a little bit behind, but I think that's the kind of thing that BYUN needs to be doing to get back in it. Now we see a Liberator trying to flay in here. Recall on, that looked like a Stalker and a Zealot, and then another Stalker was worked in.
The recall, bringing back a couple Stalkers, you got to make them use
Oh, yeah.
Use it. Energy.
I think that was beautiful. But you mentioned earlier, there are just so many charge lots here. Revelation is going to go down on a large part of that bio army. These Stalkers are kind of playing with fire here, but I guess Zest is okay trading out Stalkers. He wants to replace those units with those charge lots and with the Templar. And I like that Zest is kind of getting this like 3-pronged, he can collapse from multiple angles into this third base here. All right.
That's right. And BYUN is unfortunately, he's taking the fight to Zest here. These individual armies are not very big each. And you can kind of, just crashing down on BYUN's third. All of these charge lots right of just evaporate. Oh my god, really good storms. Kind of as they're coming around, there's nothing else to do but just fight right through storm.
Yeah, the charge lots.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, these charge lots getting caught a little bit on these supply depots, but there's just so many of them continuing to stream in. The ghosts continue to fall here, and a lot of workers did go down there. Now, it looks like 17 workers fell here for Zest at the same time, but BYUN just realizing that he lost his army. If we look at the supply, actually, wait. Oh, yeah, Zest, sorry.
Zest calling in the towel after that attack kind of goes a little bit sour. If you look at the army supplies, and not to mention, there's economic damage being done on both sides. All this army has to do is kind of just move right across the map and keep denying those bases. Really strange turn of events. That's not really how I anticipated this game ending.
Yeah, I think it came down to a couple of really good EMPs there by BYUN.
But there were such good storms. I mean, there was a point in time where, Zest puts out 3 or 4 storms, and the army is like blood red, like almost just falling over dead. And even feedbacking some of those medevacs, I mean, incredible amount of time having to spend. You gotta make more medevacs, or you've got to basically trickle in the healing that you already currently have out in the field. Crazy game of basically Zest just keeping to try and break BYUN and just not able to do it.
Yep, for sure. So that does mean that BYUN takes that game as well. And we're now climbing into the next game, game number 4 in this best of 5.
And starting in the upper right-hand corner of Oxide, trying to kind of make a comeback, the blue Protoss player, Zest.
His opponent in the bottom left-hand side, it is the red Terran player. It is none other than BYUN. Ooh, and I see a little cheeky SCV here, Ben.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this is kind of one of those. This isn't Maru, but you know, maybe you'd be confused if you were watching. So BYUN has decided to capitalize on his win from last game, and he's not interested in another macro game. And I think that this is very good to kind of add in a best of 5 or 7. I think that if you have a series and you don't put in some sort of proxy or super all in cheese, what you're doing is you're telling your opponent that you're not interested in it. He can play safe builds all the time and be okay, but if you have in your tool chest an all in or something where he can't cut those corners, it allows you to kind of take that advantage. If he's going to play super safe, your more greedy openings economically will pay off, or vice versa. Is if he just assumes that there's no way he's going to cheese me, and you take some sort of greedy base. Well, this is what it's supposed to kill, right?
And we actually see a tech lab coming down on this barracks. So we're gonna have some concussive marauders popping out soon.
And these, concussive marauders, pound for pound, are able to take on, gateway units. Oh, and it looks like, unfortunately, Zest has some proxy, building structures of his own. Maybe he's going for that proxy Stargate again.
I think he is. We see the core finishing up here. We see a stalker coming out first as well. And if there's one thing that marauders with concussive like to munch on, it is in fact the corpses of stalkers.
That's right, and they just can't ever get away, and it's a sad day in America.
Now I imagine if Zest scouts this and makes a void ray, maybe he could do something. But I mean, we already have 2 marauders walking over, a third halfway done as well. I imagine this SCV is going to try to make a bunker, and yeah, here it is. Concussive is going to go ahead and kill this.
That is it.
Yeah.
Sees the writing on the wall and realizes. In fact, I think he was already starting to. Stargate's not even complete. He's got to make a void ray. He's already has queued up his second stalker. That's